This is why your ideas are worthless, part 2. Part 1, I made a video about this. Go watch this before you watch this one because I'm not going to repeat myself. And on the last video, I left off with this question of what is a good idea then? There's two answers to this. There's the short answer and the long answer. The short answer being a good idea is simply an idea that solves a problem. That's what everybody wants to hear, which is true, but that's not deep enough. And obviously, you see me sitting on this chair with this whiteboard and you see me over here taking the time of my day making this video because there is a long answer to this question. But before I even go over the long answer, we're already halfway there because what we already know from the short answer, which is that a good idea is simply an idea that solves a problem. With that being said, we're asking ourselves the wrong question in the first place. Instead of wondering what is a good idea, we should then ask ourselves what is a good problem? Because a good idea is an idea that solves a problem. Now in the last video, I went over that, but in this video, I'm gonna go over how to validate that problem and validate the solution that you have. But most importantly, validate the problem. The solution is only the answer to the problem, and how big the problem is going to determine how valuable and how impactful your solution is going to be. You don't need to be a genius, and you will be surprised how many people are getting wealthy of this shit and they can't even make their bed in the morning, meaning they're stupid. So if that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what does. Now with that being said, the first step is finding the problem. And you're gonna notice that you really don't have to be smart to pull that off. Because all you have to do is not to come up with a good idea. All you have to do is to find a good problem and be persistent with it. The first step is to find the problem, to seek the problem. Let's make a live example to cut to the chase, all right? If we look around at the market, let's take, for example, the online space. When we look at the online space, all right, we are looking for a problem, obviously, which is the first step. Now, what is a problem? A problem is a pain, inefficiency, frustration in a market, in a certain field. So when I look at the online space, first thing I realized that I noticed is the saturation of the market. As I'm making this video in the end of 2024, there is a big saturation of the market and it's only getting worse. Why? Because of the gurus that are selling the same shit. First off, selling stuff that they don't apply anymore because it's outdated already, but they sell it because they make more money by selling the thing that they don't do anymore than doing the thing that they used to do that don't work anymore. And that at a big scale just create a whole bunch of sheep in the market because now everybody's doing the same shit. Not only they're selling information that is available for free, but worse than that, they sell shit that don't work anymore. So everybody is putting their first step on the wrong business model with saturated strategies and everybody's being commodity. Anybody can be replaceable at any time, especially with AI coming, and nobody's special, nobody's wanted, and there is no true value creation being generated because nobody is actually solving a general problem. Therefore, what seems to be easy to do is really fucking hard to do because of the competition and how easy you can be replaced, and therefore just because of the saturation. That's the first thing I noticed when I look at the online space. So if I had to identify the problem in the online space, I would say the main problem is that there is an outdated way of thinking and doing business online. That is our problem. So step 1 is done. Let's get rid of that. Step 2, and this is only as you dig deeper into the problem that you're going to come up with these, because now you're going to shift your focus into earning and or learning insight. Because as you dig deeper into the problem, not as you dig deeper into the solution, as you dig deeper into the problem, you're going to realize and you're going to notice a certain pattern being repeated, and that's how you're going to come up with insight. Because as you dig deeper into the problem that I just identified in this phase about the saturation of the market, as you dig deeper into this, you're going to realize, okay, everybody's doing the same shit. People don't need a new guru. People need a new business model. And so here, your genius idea, which is not really a genius idea, you're not a genius, you're just obsessed about a problem. Matter of fact, you're more of a geek than a genius. And this is why geniuses are geeks. Like, it's not a coincidence. Now that you have your fucking bright insight, okay, people need a new business model. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And here's the thing. Actually, this is you right there. You start to feel like a genius now, right? People need a new business model, but not any business model. Now, rather you earn this insight or you learn it by your mentor, by networking, even by a course that you bought somewhere. Don't care how you learned that insight or how you earned it. Maybe you earned that insight by making the mistake yourself, but now you have an insight and you want to double down on this insight. You want to shift from idea to concept. You want to come up with a hypothesis. What's the insight? A new business model. Okay, now what? What type of business model do you need? That's where you fall into a hypothesis. You're going to want to come up and map out a mechanism, a roadmap. Now that you know that you need a new business model, you need a business model that is going to enable people to create true value. A business model that unlocks true value creation in the market. Because in the online space, there's just a whole bunch of sheep now. People need real value and people need to be problem driven. So how are you going to come up with a business model that is going to make people stand out and not be commodities like they are right now on the online space? Thanks to the gurus. Now, here is the thing. On the last video, I talk about a phase. I talk about another flywheel. Same guy, but different flywheel. I was saying, I think it was phase 3. And I was basically saying, you don't want to end up in the phase where you're now just delusional when you shift your mindset from being problem driven to solution driven. You don't want to be solution driven because this is where you're not creating value anymore, but you're just building things for the sake of building things because you think that that's what you think the marketplace wants, or that's what you want the marketplace to want. But in fact, what you're building is just something that you're building out of passion and not out of being obsessed over a problem that needs to be solved. And as bad as it gets, it's the same thing over here. When you're building your hypothesis, most entrepreneurs think this is the end all be all. They think, okay, I have my mechanism, I'm gonna launch this shit and watch me. No. Because here's the thing. Who the fuck are you? The marketplace don't care how hard you work to get to this point. The marketplace don't care who you are, where you come from, and how many times you failed. The marketplace is the dictator in this scenario here. The marketplace is the dude who's gonna tell you if what you got is valuable, if people want what you have or not. You cannot force people to want what you have. That's the rule of the game. So when you come up with your hypothesis and you launch this, first off, who the fuck are you? Because since when we had it right the first time? I'm talking about as entrepreneurs. Let's be real. So your focus should actually be to come up with a hypothesis as fast as possible, to get feedback from the marketplace as fast as possible. Because what is truly valuable is the feedback you get. It's the data. Because the innovation is in the iteration. You see a problem in the marketplace, you dig deeper into the problem, and you come up with insight. Learn or earn insight. Don't matter if you made a mistake yourself or if you know somebody who made the mistake. You come up with an insight, and as you dig deeper into the problem, not the solution, the problem, and it's crazy, you don't need to be a fucking genius, because when you dig into the problem, the solution is going to show up to your face. Then once you dig deeper into the problem, you're going to come up with a hypothesis. You're going to build a mechanism that's going to solve the problem. Now here's the thing. You're going to want to launch this thing as fast as possible, because what you need, what you truly need, is not your brain, because your brain cannot predict what the marketplace reaction is going to be. This is how and why nobody becomes successful on their first business, on their first try. Now that you have your hypothesis, put it out in the market and you wait for the market to tell you what to do, because the marketplace is going to tell you detail by detail, what do you need to improve, what do you need to change, what angle you need to take. And this is where you truly become a genius. This is where true value creation is born. And this is why you don't want to get stuck in the phase I was talking about in the last video, where you become delusional and you think that you know what people think, and so you assume everything and you just build things out of your own gut, out of your own passion, because that's not what works in business. And here's the thing you need to understand. Business is not like fucking rocket science. Not because it's not hard, because it is not hard. You don't need to be a genius, like I just proved you. But I actually mean what I said. Business is not like rocket science, because when you're building a rocket, you want every single numbers, every single data, every single matrix calcul to be accurate. Everything needs to be accurate at the decimal. If you're only 0.00000000001 off, you fuck up the whole thing. Don't believe me? Ask Elon Musk. Everything needs to be on point before you launch the thing. In business is the opposite. You need, because first off, like I said, who the fuck are you? You're not gonna get it right the first time. So you better fail as fast as possible. You better get your hands dirty as fast as possible. I'd rather get my hands dirty than trying to predict the future by spending my valuable time and energy on building something for 5 years that I think that's gonna change the world. And the second I launched it, after 5 years of hard work, everything fails and I lose everything I've ever built during these last 5 years. That is 5 years gone in like 3.3 seconds. Couldn't be me. Now, how do you build a prototype good enough? Because you can't be cheap either, let's be honest. But how then do you build a prototype fast enough and launch it in the market before anybody else and have feedback as fast as possible? Well, guess what? That's what the next video is going to be about.